convert website visitors to subscribers. Yeah, I had to do that just to make you know that subscribers are important as much as visitors are to your website, because there are two types of visitors, right, to your website. There are new visitors and there are returning visitors. Just like you're here on the podcast listening, you're on the show, you're tapped in, you're enjoying the conversation. And by the way, let me say this right now, we just crossed over to 131 countries. We just launched that out and I'm super, super excited. Thankful to God Almighty for the ability, to just connect with a lot of people in the world, and it's just like happening in real time. So I figured, why not, tell you that's listening, thank you for listening. We have so many countries, and let me just let you know country wise, so that you're aware, because I can't name all the countries. That's going to take me all day, but I'll just let you know that the new countries that came into the mix are Macau. That was the last one over last week. Now we have Venezuela. We have British Virgin Islands. We have Kazakhstan. We have Kyrgyzstan. These are two different countries. We have Moldova and we have Paraguay. These are new countries that have come into the podcast and listening in. So I really appreciate you for tapping in. We have over 400 episodes, but hitting on 500 episodes. We have about 600, let me say 100 to 600 episodes that haven't been published. So technically, we have about 600 plus episodes that are in the pipeline. It's just that you have access to over 90% of them. So the ones that are going to be out, we'll make sure that you listen to them throughout the year. And they've been episodes on a consistent dial. So I'm sure you know that we can't lack content, because content is what we love to do and we want to make you comfortable. So that's why you coming here as a visitor, listening to this episode is so important, because there's going to be a lot of conversation about how you can convert your website visitors to subscribers, right? Because it's not just about subscribers. The goal is, how do you connect and build the dots? How do you take one information and say, oh, this is how you do it, right? Because there are different ways that businesses operate, right? And there are ways that you have to think about how you connect with people. Because for me, what I've seen business wise, where you really get attention and retention with connections online is technically when you operate through email, through phone. So that's a text message or a phone call, and then email, and of course a Zoom call. So that would be like your four quadrant, recycle formula. Because if you're looking at it from a long-term perspective, your business should be taking effect when you're growing and you're also adding more value to your subscriber base, right? Because if you look at YouTube, for example, YouTube has way more viewers and subscribers per channel, meaning that I watch your video more than I would subscribe to it. So there are more people that would watch your videos than subscribe to it, which is fair, because not everyone that watches your video is going to subscribe. They just want to watch it for the moment. But if they feel like, I want to subscribe to this, it means that they are ready to take information in and learn from you on what they are trying to understand, because you have the answer to that question. And how you can understand where that comes in is by building a retention map, right? Building a retention map. And how do you build a retention map? By programmatic SEO, that is search engine optimization. Because when you do something, how do I say this? Programmatically, right? Think about programs on your TV show, your favorite TV show. You can check the program, check the season, rewind, forward, backspace, do all the good things you want to do. Majorly, when you want to convert your website visitor to a subscriber, what you're doing is actively telling them. That's the first thing, right? Because when you have all these keywords and they're all leading to your website, these are all potential traffic opportunities, right? Because they're different keywords that bring in different traffic bases. So if I'm writing articles that talk about ABC, then I know by this time next week, by this time next year, I'll be getting more contacts that are connecting with me on the site. So your goal is, how do you as a business owner take your content from just looking at it from, oh, we just have views, to actually saying, oh, I think from views now we do have people who we can actually connect with, people who are actually interested, people who actually are listening, because those views matter. You're thinking about actively telling them, hey, welcome to the show. Subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe to the We Don't Play podcast show. Subscribe to fill in the blank your show, or subscribe to your channel or the name of your channel. Then when people subscribe, they're now getting more entertained because there's now a scheduled experience, right? It's a scheduled experience, like Disney. Disney's a scheduled experience. You go to Disney at 9 a.m. and you're going to be there up until maybe 6 p.m., 7 p.m. because you're spending a long time enjoying yourself, knowing that this is the day for this. So there's some days people say, hey, Monday, we're going to do this. Tuesday, we're going to do this. Wednesday, we're going to do this. Thursday, we're going to do this. Friday, we're going to do this. Saturday, we're going to do this. Sunday, we're going to do this. All the days of the week have tasks, right? So if you're going to convert your website visitor that came in on a Monday and became a subscriber by Thursday, that's because there's something you did between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that allowed that person to feel comfortable on Thursday. So when you have two types of visitors, which is new visitors and returning visitors, your new visitors are coming in because they're excited about what they just experienced. They went to google.com, they went to pinterest.com, they went to youtube.com, they went to a search engine, and they found your website as the leading website to go online. So when people are going online to say, oh, I'm looking for this specific keyword, how will they find your keyword as a source file? There has to be connections that lead up to that resource. So if you look at it from a long-term perspective, right, and you're saying, okay, how am I going to write content that is going to really help my business get more attention? It's by looking at it from a long-term perspective and saying, okay, you might look at your dashboard and say, oh yeah, I'm not really seeing it. But from somebody else's dashboard, that's the first thing that they're seeing. Because something may have happened 5 days ago, 2 days ago, and you're the one that's getting all the traffic and the research. But potentially you can also be able to get all that research long-term. So the big question here is, how does your business show up online as the authority, and how do you convert your website visitors to subscribers? One platform that I would tell you to use, which I have been using, and I vouch for them any day, and you should listen to their episode because we're going to have that actually, you know, let me say it this way. We're going to have that episode that's going to be published on the We Don't Play podcast show. So listen to it, right? The name of this platform, and I'm sure you're probably going to hear this before you hear that episode. So the name of this platform is called happierleads.com. Happierleads.com is a great platform that tells you how your business shows up on the web because you have web traffic. Now, let me say it like this. When you have web traffic, people kind of assume web traffic, oh, I come in, I leave, I come in, I leave. But imagine if in a day there are 2,000 people that walk in and out of your door. 2,000 people. Not everyone that walks in walks out with something. Some people walk in, they walk out with a bag. Some people walk in, walk out with, two bags. Some people walk in and walk out with nothing. Some people walk in and come back the next day and then buy the whole store. because they feel like they have control over their movement, right? So when you're converting a website visitor, you're converting somebody who is potentially trying to understand where you are, where you're coming from. And that is also going to allow them to feel more comfortable staying. Because the whole idea right now is, how can we convert these people, right? They're coming in, they're looking for information, they're learning from you, they're trying to see, okay, does this work? Does this make sense? Does this even apply? How does this apply? Does it even make sense to what we're doing today? These are big questions that your business would be in search of, right? You'd be asking questions like, oh, how can we convert our website traffic into subscribers? The answer to that is, you need the back end and you need the front end. The back end is happier leads. When you install happier leads to your website, what you're doing is you're scraping traffic data and turning that into intelligence, not just contacts, but actually intelligence, because now you get to see what industries are searching for your business. That allows you to reverse engineer that process and then get to connect with people if you do outbound marketing, and let people know that I have this business and I want to focus on this industry because I serve this type of clients. So it makes you understand that the people who are coming to your business are not just coming to talk to you. They're coming in because they need support, they need help, they need goals, they need structure. These are the things that they need that's going to help you as a business grow. So the way you're creating business control is highly based on how people connect back with you, right? And this has a lot to do with your business long term being the place of refuge that people should go to. If I talk about programmatic SEO like I did earlier, it means that if I'm going to talk about best, top, and then comparison and this versus that, those are different things to look at. Welcome, Adam. So you have two different ways to connect to people, right? They're new visitors. They come in, they check you out. They're like, oh, this is cool. I like this. They leave. Then another one comes back in the second day. Now they're no longer a new visitor. They're a returning visitor because they once upon a time visited your website and now they visited again. Just like you go to a restaurant website or you go to a flight website or you go to a hotel website, you don't go there all the time. But the days you go there is because you want to intentionally make a decision or you want to intentionally do something with that information you have. So when you're converting your website visitors to subscribers, when you have that back end that I mentioned earlier, that back end allows you to now connect with people who are visiting your website for the first time and returning to your website for the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, up 10th time, right? They'll keep coming back because they'll keep learning from you, especially if you give them more and more content over time. And that's why I love podcasting, because I know 2 years from now, 3 years from now, people will still listen to these episodes. People will still learn about these things, because right now, the biggest question is, how do you convert your website traffic to subscribers? Even when you run ads, how do you even transform paid traffic to subscribers? So I think I should definitely do organic traffic to subscribers and paid traffic to subscribers. See the difference between the two and get to see the quality of the two, because you can definitely get a quantity on both, but the quality is really what's going to set you apart from your competition. Welcome, Zizi. So you have to see on the back end, how do you keep those systems in operation? How do you learn to keep those things in place? Because every time you post something on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, somewhere on social media, even to your email, you'll get more. I sent an email yesterday. I was really kind of like struggling to do it. I was like, should I do it? I said, yeah, if I don't do this email, I'm doing them a disservice and I don't want that on me. So I said, okay, I'm gonna send out an email. This email is about, there were about 21. There were 21 links in that email because I carefully curated everything. I spent about an hour to just put it together because I sent out literally content that's worth 2 months in one email. And I condensed it and I said, this is what you're going to learn about this, this, and this. Until now, people are still listening to the email or reading the email that and listening to the podcast from there, because I know that if they're watching, reading, learning, listening, it helps. I got to ask my community, I said, what do you do most of? Do you do listening more, talking more? Or I said speaking more, writing more, or reading more? And the winner was writing. A lot of people love to write, so that means if they're writing, they're listening and they're writing what they're listening to. So that psychological connection is so deep that you don't get unsubscribes from that kind of email sequence, because when you're actually sending emails to people and they're actually writing things down and you're giving them things to write down, then that's where the business starts to become a relationship. I remember hearing from, one of these great videos. I think it's called Hard Knocks, and they do amazing interviews. One of the interviews that I got to see, which made a lot of sense, it just resonated with me, and I was like, this is very, very different. The person just mentioned and said, hey, if you're trying to get all these people and you're trying to connect with all these people, learn how to be their friend. Like not everyone's going to be your friend, and you're not supposed to befriend anybody, but be friendly. Like, be someone that somebody can be friends with. You don't have to force the friendship, right? I don't have to say, hey, can you be my friend? You know how back in the day when you're younger? No, just be yourself, and then the right people will come to you, and then that's how you build relationships. If you meet someone and say, hey, cool, how can you do this? I've had instances with clients and their real estate, agents, and I'll give them an idea and say, hey, create this. If let's say you've purchased a home from you, get them something like a care package, have an embroidery on it, let them know that you care, give them something, even if it's like an air fryer or something that you've been talking to them for the past month, 2 months, 3 months. You kind of know who they are. Not fully, but you kind of know what they like. They like dinner, they like breakfast, they like coffee. Like, you've had conversations. So if you're really keen and observant, you'll be able to know what your clients like and pay attention to those things that they love. And that way you're able to really connect as well. Adam says, I think a key component for making your site a place for people to continue to visit is constantly updating your site. Yes. If the content is exciting, people will most likely keep returning. Websites are not a set it and forget it. That is so true. Thank you, Adam, for that. It's definitely true, because there's some websites I see, I'm like, why does it say copyright 2022? Why does it say copyright 2019? Because it's not been updated, it's not been touched. It's like I'll say like cobwebs. It's just like you gotta like scrape everything out to now enjoy it. It's a whole mess. Rather than just cleaning it every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, you'll be in a much better place because your house will be so refreshed. And I think about it, like you said, Adam, on your website. And when I think about updating it, I'm thinking about two things. Just like your local drive, your local hard drive on your computer, there's also a cloud drive. And I'm sure you bought Apple storage, cloud drive, you've bought storage from Samsung, you've bought cloud storage, even for your emails. Great. Now, in those storages, there are two things that happen, right? Actually, three, but two matter. The third one is just one time, meaning that you've date last added, that's one time. You don't add things twice, you add it once. Now, there are two things that keeps changing: the date that was published and the date that was modified. So if you wrote 10 articles throughout the whole of last year, meaning that you skipped 2 months and you wrote one article a month all through last year, which is very possible, very, very possible. You can go back to those 10 articles and then start from the month that you started editing. So we're in April now. Start from April and say, okay, last year, April, what did I talk about that was different? Like, it's Easter weekend this weekend. So what did we talk about last year that we're doing this year? And then we can forecast to next month as well, because by this time next month, we're going to be thinking about Mother's Day, right? So there's always going to be something that's going to be happening consistently. So if you have a business and you're thinking about the the past posts and the future posts, then you're going to convert your website visitors to subscribers, because if they come today and they see this post and then they come next week and then they see it was last updated 2 hours ago, they'll be like, huh, this is nice. This is fresh. Somebody's actually actively, psychologically, you've put something in their mind to tell them that this is actually active, compared to it just being a post that was updated a while back. So if you have 10 articles, you can go back to those 10 articles that you last published, start from the month that you kicked it off on. And then when you now take those months, the next thing you want to do, right, is update those and then backdate it. So when you start from April, because in April, go back in time and then go to last April. So April 2024 through April 2025. Then start updating them, because you're doing it in a very sequential way, meaning that if I started with April, that means the last post I'm going to update is going to be March 2024. Yeah, because I'm going to be doing everything from April 2024 down, down, actually upwards to April 2025. So if you're starting from April 2025 and you're going all the way down, and let's say you've changed everything, then your last post, yeah, it shouldn't be March. Actually, I'm trying to look back at the scale. It should be May. So when you look at April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, all those months, if you go back and you update those articles, then each of them are going to have a new updated stamp. So they'll all say last updated April, today's what, 14th, April 14th, 2025. And it was first published April 2nd, 2024. Then the other one would say first published, or, published date May 16th, updated April 14th, 2025. But you see, there's a 2024 for May and a 2025 for April. And then both of them can come together and you can actually create them together. Adam also says, also people post to social media platforms, but forget to post that content also on their own platform, their website, or put trailer type content to social media and for the complete content for people to bring them to your website. Correct. Welcome in. Hope you're well. It's a huge boost when you do that. A lot of companies do that, and not many small businesses do that. That's the thing, because small businesses, from what I've seen, they'll hire out and let them do the social media because they trust the marketing company that they hired to do the social media posting. But the social media company or the agency that they hired is not doing that as a business practice. That's not their procedure, because they don't know SEO. They know social media. They know how to post. They know how to use Canva. They know how to connect carousels, but they don't know how to specifically redirect traffic off a platform to a platform of choice. And that's where that SEO comes in. And I love that you said that, Adam, because when you're converting your website visitors, where are they coming from? Because before they even become subscribers, they're visitors. Before they're even visitors, they came from somewhere. They're consumers, right? They are consuming your content because they're reading your words. When, it says, even biblically, you are what you eat. Like, when out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? So whatever you feed into your heart, whatever you feed into your mind, whatever you feed into your soul, your spirit, your body, that's what you give. If you're a terrible person, that's what you're going to give. If you're an amazing person, that's what you're going to give. That's this binary code. It's zeros and ones, right? DNA, that's the code. That's your formula. So however you give is how you're going to receive. So if I'm going to give you something on social media, my goal is to give you 10% of my time on social media. Because guess what? The algorithm is only going to show 10% of the audience my content. So why am I giving 100% of my value, time, money, energy, and effort to social media when I could get 100% on my end plus more, 200%? Like, it's unlimited. So That 10%, thank you, Adam. That 10% is, here's a headline story. For more, check it out. Go to CNN right now. I always give this example if you've heard me before. Go to CNN, go to CNN's Instagram right now. Just go to Instagram, go to Google and type in CNN Instagram. Check the Instagram. Any post, click on any post. It will tell you the headline story, and then they will tell you read more on our website, or click the link in bio for more information. They will redirect you off where they found you to the website subscribers. Because what happens is you become a website subscriber because you were a website visitor. You can't become a subscriber if you don't visit. I can't eat the food that you prepared in your house if I didn't show up for dinner. So there has to be, there's a way to do things. So when you convert that website visitor to a website subscriber, it means that they came from somewhere. That's why there's something called social traffic or referral traffic or direct traffic or paid traffic, because these are traffic points on the web that have containers. So if you look at Facebook as a container, look at Instagram as a container, look at Google as a container, look at Pinterest as a container, look at your email as a container, look at different platforms that you're on a weekly basis, and then say, in a week, how many subscribers do I get from each platform? And how many visitors do I get from each platform? So sometimes people say, yeah, you can't really get traffic from organic, yet everybody is searching organically on Google. There are 8.5 billion guys, billion. There are 8.5 billion searches on Google daily. That's more than the world population. To even scale it further, these days nobody is, let me not say nobody, but I can say it this way: nobody is only looking on Google these days. People are going to Google, they're going to Siri, they're going to Ask ChatGPT, they're going to Timu, they're going to YouTube, they're going to Pinterest, they're going everywhere possible. Reddit as well. They're going to places that they're going to find information, right? Now, when they find this information, they're going to find it and then connect back to the source. So if I'm looking for information, and this is where I hang out on LinkedIn, and I read an article about something on my LinkedIn post, that tells me that whoever's listening to my podcast is coming from LinkedIn. If they subscribe to my podcast, they came from a source, just like we came from somewhere, right? You know, God brought us into this earth. We were born. You know, our mothers gave birth to us. We came, and we're here. We're alive. We're making it happen. We're doing amazing things because we came from a source, right? God is our source. So when you now look at the source of a website visitor or the source from a website visitor, you're attributing that website to where they're coming from. So if I get 2 subscribers from LinkedIn, 5 subscribers from Pinterest, 10 subscribers from Clubhouse, 20 subscribers from YouTube, 100 subscribers from Google, then all these subscribers have come from different places. But the total sum of all these subscribers is my total count. And that's what everybody's looking at, the bottom line, right? How do these things create more traffic for your business over time? It's not just traffic, it's value. It's not just traffic, it's value. I'll say that one more time. It's not just traffic, it's value. Why is it value? Because if I'm spending 2 minutes, 20 minutes on your website, it means that there's something valuable that is taking my time, that I'm investing time in. If I'm investing in something that I know will yield results in the future, I'll invest in that today. Podcasting, right now, if you have a podcast, you can yield profit potentially at its highest peak anywhere between 1 to 4 months if you have an established podcast. If you don't have an established podcast, it could take anywhere between 1 to 24 months. So put a 2 next to the 4, and that's going to be the formula. So 1 to 4 months, if you're an established podcast, you can get so much traffic, so much demand, so much brand equity, a lot of good things if you're consistent with your podcast schedule. But if you're not, like, in the top percent, like top 10% and down, then you'd need 1 to 24 months. And that's a long time, but trust me, it's worth the while. And I've done that 3 times over. This month, not this month, this year, we're in April. So by August 12th, 2025, is going to be 6 years podcasting on the We Don't Play podcast show. And we've hit 131 countries by this morning. We were at 125 countries by last weekend. And no one is running ads to the podcast. How do you run ads to all the countries in the world? It's impossible unless you have a big budget. It's everyone has time. So how do you spend your time wisely? That's what we do. We put out episodes, we connect with people. Now podcast is ranking in top countries in the UK, in the US, in Canada, in India. It's in Singapore. You're looking at it, Macau, that's somewhere in China. These are places that are listening. The people who are listening, there are people who are actually listening. And they're listening because they need support, they need help, they need answers. So when they come to learn from you, they're learning from you because they learn about what you provide. So as a business, when you have that back end and you have that pool of traffic that you're creating content from, that's where you're able to really pull that trigger really, really far. Because there are 2 types of pages on your website that really drive traffic: core site pages and article pages or blog pages, or I can call them rich pages, because you could have a recipe page that is there. You could have a product page that counts. You could have a blog page that counts. But you need a rich page, a rich text page that actually has rich information that is resourceful. Resourceful is a blog, it's a product, a recipe, a listing. Those are resourceful information pieces. When you have an article, don't just use text, use bold, use italics, use underline, use tables, use calculators, use infographics, right? Use FAQs, use schema, use breadcrumbs, use all these things that sound like, huh? But these are all the things that's going to make your website turn from sounding like this to definitely sounding like you can flip that switch. It's up to you. It's really up to you. You can be on either side of the fence, but what's going to make that count is the system you set inside. Now, when you want to convert your website visitors to subscribers, before they even become visitors, they need to come from somewhere. That's what I mentioned before. Where do they come from? They're coming from Google. They're coming from Microsoft. They're coming from Apple. They're coming from Yahoo. They're coming from YouTube. They're coming from Pinterest. So these are platforms that you need to be on. As a podcast, people go to Spotify, they go to iHeart, they go to Pandora. If you're not on those platforms, how will they find you there? How will they discover you if you could not put yourself there? When you submit an application for a job, it's because you're in the job listing. You're part of the candidates listing. If you didn't apply, you can't submit something and expect a result if you didn't apply for it or if you didn't submit it. So the application piece has to be your part. Even for God to do something, we have to do our part. We have to have faith. We have to be practical for that to happen. So if you look at it from your website and you say, I want to subscribe, I want to get subscribers. Yeah, you want to get YouTube subscribers, but they got to come from somewhere. They visited your website, or they visited your show, they visited your podcast, they visited your YouTube channel because they came from somewhere. They came from Google. They came from somewhere. I'm looking for chicken recipes for Thanksgiving, turkey recipes for Thanksgiving, or I'm looking for how to tie a tie. I'm looking for how to bake a cake for, a birthday party. You're going to get a video that's on YouTube that was published maybe a year ago. Now you're on YouTube's page. You've subscribed to this channel. You've probably visited their website, and now you're subscribed to their website because you came from a source. So when you look at the pathway, the goal is, how do I start the race and finish the race every time in a cycle that is not going to leave somebody and drop off halfway? If everybody could get to the finish line on your website, the better. Not everyone gets to the finish line. Some people drop off halfway. Some people just close the tab. Some people never come back. It happens. But if you have a good structure and you have the first 5 seconds of your website, I would say 3 seconds, but 5 is just to allow you to click and scroll through and make a decision. But anywhere between 3 to 5 seconds is the most critical time your website will need that traffic. Welcome, Kalia. That is going to be a huge benefit for you, because when you have the back end allows you to get that contact data piece, right? Hey, Stella, when you have that back end gives that support, right? It's like financial security. It gives you that backing. Now, the front end is where you have pop-ups. That's how you convert your website visitors to subscribers. If I had 1 million impressions and I had no opt-in page or no landing page that says, you're welcome here to our platform, check this out, that's going to be a problem, because I have 1 million subscribers potentially, but I have 1 million impressions. And if I was to do a 1% on 1 million impressions, that's a lot of people that could be subscribed to my show if I'm just doing a 1% conversion. But for you to have that, you need to have a website. So if you go to my website, playinc.online, playinc.online, you can see the pop-up and you can also subscribe and choose what you want to listen to, what you want to get more knowledge on, marketing tips, marketing services, however you want it to be is based on what you want. Because when you start getting information about resources, information about learning how to do things better, and you're just taking your time. You're not in a rush, but you're learning and you have a place that is secure, you'll be fine. Because if you have a pop-up on the front end of your website and on the back end of your website, you have a good system that's picking up information, then you're going to be golden. And a lot of people will start subscribing to your website because you daily posting content. People can find you resourceful. And you also have updated information on your website, which gives you a much better clock. So if you think about your clock, and you think your clock is 2 days old, then you could turn your clock to 2 hours old, because you've updated information that is very recent, but it's also active. So start from this month, go back, listen to this. I don't want to make this a long episode because I want you to take action. Sometimes we're here for a long time because we love to talk about these things and we love to binge. But yes, please binge. It's binge worthy content, but please take action. Please take action. Because if you don't take action, this is just going to be a pretty Mona Lisa picture on your frame, on your wall. And people are going to be taking pictures with you, taking selfies, but that's where it's going to end. But you want people to move from there to now actually creating their own things. And now you have more museums, you have more pictures, you have more landing pages, you have more audience, and you definitely have more traffic. So have a back end, have a front end. If you need a front end pop up, go to flowdesk.com, check it out, or you can go specifically to partners.flowdesk.com/we don't play and get a 14-day free trial on Flowdesk and get started today so that you can start getting actual subscribers to your podcast, to your website, to your business. And that way you can actually save money on the back end and do a lot of great things for people who are looking for your content. So Rome was not built in a day. Your website definitely needs conversions and optimizations on a daily basis. That happens every day, just like you have to take a shower every day. You have to brush your teeth every day. You have to check your website every day. You come in, you go to your house, you leave your house, you come back. That's a daily thing. You have a routine. So part of your routine should be website checking. If someone is doing that for you, great. If you're doing it for yourself, great. But something needs to happen, and don't let it be dormant so that you don't lose out on potential traffic you could actually gain. The worst part is realizing that you've missed an opportunity that you could have had, and you look at it knowing that you can't get it back. That's the worst feeling. So for you to avoid that feeling, start today. Start today and start well. Because when you start well and do well, when you start well, then you'll always do well and minimize errors as you go. So if I was to do this thing all over again, especially with the information I know now, I can definitely do this again and make sure that you have a long-term presence. So I hope this helped you out and you're able to enjoy it. I've given you 2 platforms you can use for the back end and the front end. Check them out. If you have any questions, do let me know. Does anyone have any question? Please put it in the chat or raise your hand. Let me know, because I really am here to make sure that you understand this and I don't want to leave anybody clueless. Also, if you're using something like Flowdesk, Adam says, remember to take advantage of their API to smoothly connect your website and Flowdesk. Exactly. That's huge. I've been using Flowdesk since 2019, and now I'm an official partner. And I got to meet the founders. There are two founders and co-founders, if I can say like that. And they're amazing people, two amazing women who are really doing a great thing for the community. And it's a big thing. You send out emails and you wonder, wow, like people are actually opening them, they're actually reading them, they're actually clicking on them, they're actually not unsubscribing, they're actually staying. Like it sounds crazy, but sometimes people are expecting people to unsubscribe. But when you don't see that, it means that you really have a good tribe. But of course, it's not every time you're gonna get 100% in everything. It's not perfect. Just like I'm probably gonna put this as my Instagram post very soon, but if you look at my Instagram story today, check it out before it runs out because I posted this yesterday. And it's just me bowling. I don't know if you love bowling, we can play it because I'm competitive. So we were bowling and I was bowling and I showed two shots or two rounds. The first round, I knocked them all out. And that was because I had a second try. The second try, I knocked them all out apart from one. And then one stayed. And I was like, hey, it was almost perfect, but I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. So we got to keep improving, right? I could have scored all that. It could be a strike, but I had one left, but I was able to knock that out too. So it's just a way of telling you that you're always going to have to keep improving. Like imagine if you did everything you were supposed to do and there's nothing else to do, what could happen? You have to think about the process. The process. One thing I did learn myself because I'm always studying, and it was a big revelation, especially like I won't go too scriptural into this, but I want to just give you a big picture so you can see this because I always like to, have biblical principles as well with business too. Myron Golden does this, other businesses do it. So based on how you do it, it works. What I've noticed is this, right? When God planted the seeds of the earth and he planted, all these plants and planted all these things and had the animals and everything, he didn't have to create water again. He didn't have to create plants again. He didn't have to create these things because he made them self-sufficient. Just like we're self sufficient, we're supposed to create, multiply, subdue, dominate. That's because we're self sufficient, right? So when you create a product, a website should be self sufficient, right? It should be able to have its own links, its own process, its own checkout, its own tab, its own this, its own that, because it's something that should work. Thank you so much for the 100%. I love that because you're supposed to see how can I produce this? Because every year you're definitely going to pay a fee to renew that domain. Every year, maybe you might have bought it for 5 years, but on the fifth year, you're going to have to pay again. So why are you paying for something you're not using? You're buying, you have a mortgage, you have 30 years, 15 years, 7 years, however you want to dice it, slice it, but you have something to pay, right? So as a website, if you just give your website 24 months, you'll enjoy the next 24 years of your business life cycle. I'm not kidding. 100% kid you not, because there's really nothing on the internet that is new. The only thing is that it's updated. So if your content is outdated and everybody's looking at the most outdated content, and then you become the most updated content, then you become the most relevant person that Google is going to refer people to. It helps. So don't just look at people and say, oh, it's saturated, nothing's going on. Just focus on you. Be in your lane, understand the concept, get the formula right, answer questions. The whole world answers questions. Like you start off with answering questions. Everything starts with questions, right? Questions, answers, results. Questions, answers, results. Questions, answers, results. When you get results, you're going to get more questions because those more questions become more sophisticated. What's 2 plus 2? 4. Okay, why is 2 plus 2 4? Because 2 is 1 and 2. And then you get more and more detailed into the answer. So the more you're able to answer those questions, and give people a definite answer that feels like, oh, that was it. Okay. Next thing, the next moment, you start to realize that you're able to build in more and more and more and more for your business. So start off with those things and you can really, really understand it. I'll give you an example. There's an article that I wrote, and I'm going to put the link at the top. I wrote this article last week. It's about SEO versus AEO versus GEO. I put the link at the top. Check it out. And this is a perfect example because the future of search is big, and I've optimized this for search. So if you're really looking at this as a long-term planner, as a business owner, you want to be in the know. At least get to know what's going on. I've sent an email, my community knows these things, so I always feel like I have a responsibility to let them know about these things because they're not on Google searching. Everyone has their own lives. People are busy, they got families, they have things to do. So me coming to you saying, "Hey, I'm helping you do this," and you're like, "Okay, let me know," and I'm giving you that information, then that means I have a responsibility. That's why this podcast hitting 131 countries is actually crazy because I did the math and I'm like, that's 67% of the world. That's 67% of the world. 131 countries out of what, 195 countries? So by the end of the year, God willing, it might hit 150. I don't know where it's going to, but all I know is people are listening and they're learning. So I can't just not do this. So that's why I'm very particular. I'm very big on this. And I just want you to win because, there's room for everybody. It's just that if you want to win as much as I do, then we can take it to that next level. If we can't, then there's some things we have to definitely work on. But I'm open to helping you out. I have options that you can really go through. So many things you can definitely discuss, even to begin with, just to let you know. Sometimes I was, let me say it this way. It may be hard to know what's going on when you don't know what's happening. So there's a way you can definitely do this. And for those who are interested, I do have an SEO course. And I haven't talked about this much, but that's something that I would definitely want you to look into. And yes, Adam, if you invest in a website, go all in, definitely 100%. I put in my link. That link will take you to my course site. It's $25 and you can get the course, right? And enjoy the course. It's valued at 3K. You can do a DIY by yourself, or you can get the discounted price for $999. That's $999 for a 4-week training. And you have access to the course plus 4 weeks. That's about 7 hours. And you just get your SEO done. You may not need to do the whole thing or let us work on your business or do this or do that. You can start on your own for $25. Spend 3 hours out of your 24 hours. That $25 will definitely get you information. From there, apply that in concept, do it yourself. We have someone that did it herself. She set up her own business after going through the course, and now she's running her own business and she has clients in Florida. So it's like, oh, somebody last week hit me up from LinkedIn, saw me in the Black AI think tank a year ago, a presentation I did, and ended up signing up to the course. And he's going through the course. That was last week, Monday. So people are doing it at their own time. And I'm like, I'm happy because he was like, he went to this Coursera, he went to sites and he couldn't find anything substantial. And that's how he was just fed up because he builds websites. He's an OG. He's been doing it for decades. So there's nothing really new we're talking about. It's just that he doesn't understand the value of SEO the way I do, but he understands the value of it because he knows what websites need. So it's a two-way street, and it's just better for you to look at it that way. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. Let's get started, or just skip the line. Let's get on a call for 20 minutes and let's get you started. Let's get things rocking. And, we can definitely give you a very, very good start for your business if you're thinking about this long term. So with that said, I appreciate you all. I hope you've definitely learned something new, and keep trying something new because the more you try, the better you get at it. 100%. So appreciate you so much, Adam, Estella, Love. Thank you for being here as well. White RN, I hope you're well. And Deep Singh, and of course, ZZ. Thank you so much for being here. This was a great room. I'll definitely be here to tell you guys more. In fact, I'm going to say this right now. This is a very tiny room. So I'm going to say this right now. Are you listening? Are you listening? I don't know why I'm doing this, but here we go. All right. So listen to this. The next room that I'm going to do, on Clubhouse is going to be about trademarking your podcast. We're going to talk about that because because not everybody's doing it, and you need to learn how to do it now before it gets too late. So I hope you heard what I said. And yeah, that's what we're going to do next time. So I hope you enjoy your day. It's a Monday. And for those who like tacos, enjoy your Taco Tuesday tomorrow if we don't get to see. And I appreciate you all for being here with me. This was definitely a very, very enlightening room. So I hope you enjoy this and be here so that we can talk about what we're going to talk about. And that's going to be this week. So just be on the lookout. You can follow me here and connect with me so that you can get more intel. But we're definitely going to make this happen. So thank you so much. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. And I'm going to see you guys soon.